Okay, rock and roll hoochie coo here. We are on to step number 40, and we are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we had to back the camera out here a little bit so we get more room. Okay, we're going to install this back pod. These 2 feet here go into these dimples down on the back end of the battery tray, and these 3 go into these 3 holes right here. So let's go ahead and snap that down in there. They should everything fit into the holes. You may have to do a little bit of work here to get them in until everything slips in the way that they should. Now we're going to turn this upside down like so. Now, according to the directions, we're going to use the 2 big cap screws here, and these are going to drop down into the holes here, and we will tighten them up. Haha, you know what? I bet that's a different size wrench than what I have. Let's double check. It is. It's a bigger one. You see? Let's go ahead and give this a try now. It's going to take a little screwing to get them in there. Just keep going until you feel it get tight. Come on, here we go. We're going. Okay, I feel it. There we go. We're tight now. Let's get the other side going. That one popped out of the little hole there. So we're going to make sure it's in there again. We're all good. And we just about have that screwed in. Come on. Long threads. Ah, got an itch. There we go. Scratch the itch on my eyeball. Okay. Now that's all sucked all the way in and in nice and snug. You don't want to overdo them. Now we're going to visit these 3 holes back here, and we're going to put the beveled screws in there and tighten them down. Okay. Got some visitors out in the warehouse there talking loud. Sorry about that. Okay. Those 3 screws are in, and we have completed step number 40. We're starting to look more like the Yeti that we're building, rather than little pieces and parts. Okay, so we're going to set this aside, and we are going to move on to step number 41. Okay, step number 41. First thing we need to do is open bag F. Get all your pieces and parts out and ready to go. Now we're going to build these 2 links, and you need to... They're both identical, but we need to make sure we build them in the right direction. And by the right direction, what I mean is that you have one on the left and one on the right, and you want the screws to go in this way on both of them. And if you take a look at the directions, it'll show you there. Let's go ahead and start by putting in our little swivel balls. And again, we're following the directions here on which way they go in. Just like so. You also want to make sure that the open part here is facing up, and that the fat part is facing forward. So we've put those in. Now let's take our link plates And we're going to line those up like so. We're going to do that on both sides. It's actually probably easier to do one at a time and pass the screws through, but we'll do it this way. And we're going to pass the screw through the front and the rear holes. We'll start by doing that and putting a nut on here. Making sure they're all on in the right direction. Pass the screw through the back and put a nut on there. Come on, little nut. You have big fat fingers. There we go. Okay, somewhere on my bench here I have a little multi-tool. There we go. And the screwdriver. Let's go ahead and cinch these up. Nice little stiffener plates. Okay. There's one. Don't know why we're not putting screws in the middle ones yet, but I'm sure there's a reason. Alright, so let's go ahead at this point and build the second one. What I do want to make note of when you're building the second one is that this one was built in this direction with the screws passing through this way, and we want to build this one in the other direction with the screws passing through in that direction. So let's go ahead and do that off camera and we'll be right back. Step number 42, we are going to mount the links to the rear axle. And for this exercise we are going to use the bottom hole here. Not the top one, but the bottom one. So we are going to put the axle in this direction here, just like it shows in the directions. And we're going to take our link and we're going to start on this side. We want the cutouts here to go towards the axle. And we also want the screws, not the nut, but the screws to be to the outside, just like so. And I'm going to put this the way it belongs, but I am going to turn it upside down because these can be a little difficult to get in. Slide that in, pass a screw through. And follow up with a nut. Come on. Got these little M3 nuts and my fingers just don't get along. There we go. I'm going to hold that with a little tool and tighten it up. And we will repeat that process on the second side. And again, we want to watch our directions here. We want to make sure that the cutouts are towards the front, the screw is towards the outside, and it goes into the bottom hole. We're going to go ahead and do this off camera. And we'll be right back, I promise. Okay, step number 42 is done. This is what it looks like when it's done. And again, you want to make sure that everything is nice and free and nothing is binding up. Hallelujah.